Well, hello and good Monday morning to our viewing family. Last weekend, I left you on one big high. That was weekend vibes. This is new week now. So you got to calm down a little bit. So let me set the tone because we calm. It was a wonderful weekend, but we've got to, get a little more serious, get back up and look towards another week of absolute productivity. Let's go on over to Kendall first, see what's going on there, and then we come back.
Good morning. Time now for the news with me, Timothy Polio. The first phase of a St. Lucia Electricity Services Limited Lucilec lighting project has resulted in the installation of new lighting and electrical fixtures at 5 schools. The work was done through the volunteer efforts of Lucilec team members who in one case worked alongside budding electrical students from one of the learning institutions.
To bring new life into the classrooms and school grounds.
Learning was positively impacted because right now teachers can go to classrooms and there is light. We also had some lighting in other rooms, the specialized rooms, where it was not functioning or not working for over 5 years. So Lucilec coming through was a blessing for our school.
Sandals Resorts participated in a beautification exercise at the roundabout near the Sandals Early Childhood Learning and Development Center in SocaCize. Friday's initiative was to commemorate the observance of World Tourism Day on September 27th under the theme Tourism and Peace.
We have a group of team members that's from the 3 resorts, Sandals Halcyon, La Toc, as well as the Grand. And what we do, we take part taking care of the environment. So we have World Tourism Day, which was celebrated like a week ago. But we decided to come today to clean up this roundabout that's close to our school, that we have our daycare. So here basically we're cleaning, organizing, planting some grass, making sure that the trees are good. And the reason why we're doing this is to celebrate World Tourism Day.
Finally from us this morning, more information pertaining to a young male who died Thursday at Bacatel Castries during a police operation is surfacing from the police and a relative of the individual. Police are claiming that they were forced to discharge their firearms after the deceased failed to comply at a vehicular checkpoint in Kako Castries. He was later found dead after crashing a vehicle which was suspected to have been stolen from its owner. His uncle has reacted to the incident while the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is seeking the public's help in identifying a second suspect who fled the scene.
Well, he was a good guy, for me. I don't know for the rest. Only one, see. He go in prison already. He just got the fella and they hold him. And he had go prison for that.
And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. Join us for our next news major at noon, the Lunchtime Report. I'm Timothy Polio. Good morning.
Thank you, Kendall. We take a break and come right back. In this first feature, we had the privilege of having a connection with a gentleman who is sort of like original. He is lawyer. He's got a lot under his accolades under his belt, but we are definitely zeroing in on him this time as a publicist, as an author. And he's got this new series of publication that I find very interesting, and I think you might find it interesting as well, is Dr. Richard Cox.
Fine, thank you very, very much. It's an honor to be here. And I'm happy for the opportunity to talk to you.
Well, I am grateful. But we have 5 minutes, and we definitely fitted everything into that 5 minutes. You're a distinguished author, and a lot of your work is surrounding teaching us about ourselves, our culture. Where it is we are coming from, where it is we're heading. Getting us to understand this journey as a people. And many people normally try to go in the direction of that, but I can sense there is a great passion with yourself and your writing and your connectivity to that subject. Tell us a little bit about yourself as an author and some of the things that you've accomplished to date.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a trained lawyer and an international law specialist. Yes, I have a PhD in public international law. I'm a trained diplomat. And I'm a linguist. I'm trained in languages as well. And I worked for the United Nations in various roles as a legal counsel right up to management of sustainable development for 26.5 years.
Wow.
And before that, I was advisor to a former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, James Mitchell, who was actually a cousin of John Compton, you know, who was born actually in St. Vincent. John Compton was born in Canawan.
Yes.
You know, so that's basically in short. I've had a distinguished international career. I left it because I felt, well, not me, but many people, including my parents, my father in particular, felt I was born to write. And he always said, you have something to say and you have to say it. Yeah. And I finally decided, a few years ago, I published, well, before that, let me say, I write extensively in terms of outside of pure literature. So I write politics, international law, I've written law books and things like that. So I write standardly for newspapers and journals. So my writing is a wide spectrum, but we're talking specifically here of literature. And my two major works in literature is something called Where Mama Stares in Vain, which came out to critical acclaim across St. Vincent and across the Vincentian diaspora. But I realized then that if I am to actually write the way I want to write, I have to have time. And so I had to leave my job at the United Nations. Oh. It paid me well, it was wonderful, everything, but I had done that, you know, and now it was to satisfy not just my heart, but my soul. And so I got to writing what I want to do. So my latest book came out just at the end of August. It's called The Story of Pauline Bramble, Book 1, Springs, Blossom, and Young Turns. Now, this is the story of the Caribbean from 1800 until 1941, at the beginning of the Second World War. It doesn't tell a story in dry history and in dry sociology and in dry historical economics. No, it tells a story from people, from a personal standpoint. So the story is called the story of Pauline Bramble, who is a girl, right? But everything that we as a nation experience, ignorance, poverty, desperation, racism, classism, sexism, everything else. But it all comes out in this life of this young girl called Pauline Bramble. Now, this is book 1. And book 1 deals with her life from the time she's born until she's about 22 years old. And that's why it's called Springs, Blossom, and Young Turns. That is when she is now beginning to blossom as a young woman. But at the same time, life is teaching her that she must have a few thorns, or otherwise, if she don't, she'll be damaged. She has to be able to protect herself. Book 2 is going to deal with her summer. That is when she becomes a grown woman, okay? But not necessarily a mature and wise person, just a grown woman. And then book 3 is the autumn of her life, which is when she really becomes mature and she understands the world and she understands herself within that world. But all of that, again, is captured. What you see is a reflection of a society. And then book 4 is her winter. So it's spring, autumn, summer, and winter. And of course, well, you know the end of winter. I don't have to tell you how that went.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So those 4 books really covers a period of West Indian history from 1800 to 2025. That is what I cover completely. So it will go into her death and what happens to her grandchildren to a particular point. And it stops there, right? So this is only book 1. It's the first of a series of 4 books. Now, what is interesting here is that if you read, I'm sure you're familiar with some West Indian history. And when I was at school, we did books like The Making of the West Indies, and we did post-emancipation and pre-emancipation, things like that. But what it did was to cover our people's life in terms of statistics.
Statistics, yes.
It never exposed the real pain. But more than anything else, it never exposed how it dehumanized the people we know today as Caribbean people. And therefore, what we need to do to humanize ourselves, right? And it does not teach us that with all of that, from that we can draw several important lessons. The most of them is inspiration. Why? Because we never, ever surrender. And today, the same people who were 150 years ago, you know, were so desperate are now, you know, champions in so many things. So this is what this story is about. It's first and foremost tell you, it is the story of your great-great-great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, your great-grandparents, your parents, you know, and an inspiration for your children. It's a magnificent work.
I am inspired. I am totally inspired. I am inspired, sir. I am inspired. Now, we want to find out where we can get this. I don't want you to put out any more because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking everybody needs to run get a copy of this. Where can we find your work?
Basically, the easiest way is to just go to Amazon because it's available there, right? But you can just pump in the name of the story. It's called The Story of Pauline Bramble. You don't need anything else. You put that into Google search and it gives you a series of platforms from which you can buy the book. But outside of that, more importantly, it gives you a number of reviews from around the world as to what this book is about.
Oh, sir, we are happy. The next thing that's left is for St. Lucian to grab their copy. We're not going any further with this this book. I don't want to go. No, we don't give it to anybody else. Everybody is going to get excited, I know, from this viewing, and I think everybody is going to want to go and grab a copy of this. I'm excited. I'm inspired. Right. And in this picture now, we have Junior Creole that's coming up. And of course, as a matter of fact, the entire month of October is all about Creole Heritage Month. A lot has to do with the food and the types of food that we offer within this month as well. And lots of persons is going to be having, lots of communities are going to be having activities. So it's very vital for us to tap in with the Fisheries Department to find out what is in season, what is not in season, or those that are in season, what are the protocols for handling them and serving them. So the biologist within the Ministry of Fisheries is Yvonne Edwin, and she was graceful enough to share those with us. We're in the middle of Creole Month. We're getting set for Junior Creole and not tap into the fisheries and what is happening. Because we know normally there's items that I like, that sometimes it's closed season and, you know, we want to get the full works. Yvonne, in a different capacity right now, as has been aligned with the St. Lucia Fisheries Association, let's talk Junior Creole. Let's talk everything Junior Creole, because you know what we're looking to hear and what we need to know.
Exactly. So Yvonne Edwin, fisheries biologist. So the Department of Fisheries needs to ensure that persons are aware, the public, the vendors, consumers, persons who would be engaging in Creole Day activities throughout the month of October. Important to note, the lobster fishery is open. So it's currently open and ends at the end of February. The sea turtle fishery is also open. And so during the month of October, sea turtles, lobsters can be consumed by the general public. Okay. What is important to note is the regulations and the conditions for having such items for sale or catching of those items and having them in your possession. Okay. For lobsters, it must be 9.5 centimeters. Okay. These lobsters should not be molten or carry eggs. Eggs, right. And of course, consumers, you may not encounter the lobster at that point because you're about to eat it. But particularly for the fishers and the wholesalers and persons who retail those items, we want to ensure that these fisheries remains for future generations. Okay. So these management measures are put in place. There is an open and closed season, as well as measurements that are required to be followed in order to have those. Right. If we continue to practice, we have the illegal practices, what would happen is these fisheries can remain closed because the numbers are declining in some of those fisheries. And so we have to be conscious of that. Absolutely. So the lobster fishery and the sea turtle fishery is open. Right. Currently, there is a moratorium on river caught crayfish. So river caught crayfish, because of the means by which persons would catch them to sell them to the public, especially during Creole Day, we urge the public to be vigilant. Okay. The river caught crayfish and the fresh prawns, or those that the aquaculture farmers would sell, are different. And so you need to be aware of what you're eating. Most times, persons who capture the river caught crayfish, they use illegal, or what I should say is toxic substances. Throw it in the water. Throw it in the water and catch it. And so you're consuming those items. And you need to be aware of that. So the crayfish caught from the river is closed. There's a moratorium. Like I said, the sea turtle and the lobster fishery remains open.
How would you know though? Is there something distinct to be able to identify the one that is grown by the ponds?
Yes.
As opposed
so
to...
there are distinct features between the two. The gundi or the pincers are larger in one from the other.
Okay.
The surprising thing is consumers may not encounter those at the time that they are purchasing it for consumption. So that is where persons again need to be aware of what they're eating. River cod crayfish, if you know them, you have to be cautious because again, the toxic substances that are used to capture them can still remain in those animals and you might be consuming that. And that is a matter of concern. And so we would need to ensure that persons are aware of this. But you can have your lubby, your lobster, your sea turtles during this period. Crayfish, however, remains closed, and also the sea eggs. The shadow is closed at this time.
I was just about to ask. I'm not hearing one thing that I'm interested in. So the sea urchins know.
The sea urchins know. So for the Creole listeners, so homa, torti, shadow, ek, quibish. Se baila nou ka pale about hodia, me quibish ek shadow, ou pa sa mahesa pou mwasa la. Torti ek homa, oui ou sa, manger se bagay sa la. Me nou ka di ou ni pou gade ek sav sa ou ka manger, la ou ka fe se bagay sa la.
Wonderful. Yvonne, thank you so very much for flourishing us with that information. Is there any time, when can we look forward to the sea urchin? Because something I love, but I will respect the close period because
the numbers have declined. So we have done our assessment, but the numbers are down. So we can't open it at this time. Because persons have been illegally taking it throughout.
Y'all stop now because I need it. You know, if you all keep taking, then the numbers stay down. There's never going to be an open season. And by the time we check ourselves, there's no more.
Exactly.
We need to do better. At least we have quite a range of things that we can indulge in throughout the season as well.
Right. So it's Creole Month. You have a number of other activities or number of fisheries that you can indulge in those. And be mindful that when the fishery is closed and we continue to do those or consume those during the closed period, when it's time to open it, it's a difficult time to make a decision.
We're heading for distinction. We don't want that. We definitely listen, guys. Listen up. Let's have a good Creole, but let's pay attention to the things. Thank you again, Yvonne.
Not a problem.
And welcome to this morning's SocaCize session. Leading the wine is Sarah and myself, Shani. Let's get ready to flaunt with SocaCize. This morning's workout is going to be a bacchanal warm-up. Let's get ready to sweat with SocaCize. Alright, so arms up. We're starting. Flick, next side, hands on the head and roll. Now we're going faster. Click, click. Hands. Click and hands. We're going to the side, drop. Hold it. Next side, push the hips back. A little faster. Let's go. Take it up, hands on the head, roll it. Click and keep going. Let's go. 4, 2, hands. Drop it, forward, bend. Reverse the hands. Forward, back. 4 more. 3, 2. Last one. Take it up, flick, and keep going. Last set. Hands on the head, roll it. Drop and next side. Next side. Next side. Little faster. 4, 3, 2, take it up, slow. Next side. Good. A little faster. Let's go. Boy. Yes. Roll it. Faster. And roll it. Click. Roll it. Forward. Reverse. And that was this morning's session. We hope you are feeling sexy, sultry, and strong. Have a wonderful day.
Anybody knows the actual Gova season? Do you know when Gova season is? Like what months you get Gova? All right, we'll have to research that because I'm standing under a Gova tree. I get excited, think I have Gova to go home with. I don't have nothing on it. But we'll find out that and more. But hopefully with diversity and all of that, you know, we got a lot of people speaking that language these days. So maybe we might find a Gova tree in the future that's going to be all year round. A girl could hope. Have a nice day today. It's Monday. Productivity levels up there. All right? Don't slip on you today. Put in the work today. We've got a week ahead of us to put in some work. Let's do that.